In a year marked by geopolitical shifts, economic upheavals, and a resurgence of Pan-African sentiment, one figure stands out as the architect of profound change on the continent: Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the 37-year-old leader of Burkina Faso. As we close the chapter on 2025, Traoré's bold reforms, unyielding stance against neocolonial influences, and visionary policies have not only transformed his nation, but have rippled across Africa, inspiring a new wave of self-reliance and sovereignty. For these reasons, he is our Person of the Year, a leader who, in the spirit of Thomas Sankara, has dared to redefine what African governance can achieve. Traoré's journey to this pinnacle is as dramatic as it is unlikely. Born in 1988 in the small town of Koudougou, he rose through the ranks of Burkina Faso's military, earning a reputation for discipline and patriotism. His ascent to power came amid the chaos of 2022, when he led a coup against Lieutenant Colonel Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba, himself a coup leader who had overthrown elected President Roch-Marc Christian Kabore earlier that year. Traoré, then just 34, positioned himself as a guardian of the people, vowing to combat corruption, insecurity, and foreign exploitation. "We are not here to play games," he declared in his inaugural address. "Burkina Faso will rise on its own terms." By 2025, those words had evolved from rhetoric to reality. Under Traoré's stewardship, Burkina Faso experienced a renaissance that defied expectations, particularly in a region plagued by jihadist insurgencies and economic dependency. His policies, often described as Sankarist, in homage to the revolutionary leader assassinated in 1987, emphasized self-sufficiency, resource nationalism, and strategic alliances beyond the West. The results? A projected GDP growth of 6.28% by year's end, surpassing many African peers despite global headwinds. This growth was fueled by robust agriculture and services sectors, but it was Traoré's radical reforms that truly set the stage. Economic revolution, breaking free from debt chains. One of Traoré's most audacious moves in 2025 was his handling of Burkina Faso's debt burden. Entering the year with an external debt of approximately $4.7 billion, Traoré orchestrated a strategic repayment that cleared significant portions without resorting to new loans from traditional lenders like the IMF and World Bank. By the third quarter, the government had mobilized over CFA 2,500 billion in domestic revenues, exceeding projections, and used the surplus to repay domestic debts promptly. This not only restored creditor confidence but also symbolized a break from the conditionalities that have long ensnared African economies. "We have proven that Africa can finance its own development," Traoré stated in a February address. "No more begging bowls extended to institutions that demand our sovereignty in return." This rejection of IMF and World Bank assistance was not mere posturing. It was backed by action. Burkina Faso's economy, once heavily reliant on foreign aid, shifted toward internal resource mobilization. Gold, the country's primary export, played a pivotal role. Traoré nationalized key mines, banned the export of unrefined gold to Europe, and accelerated the construction of a new refinery capable of processing over 200 tons annually, surpassing initial targets. The impact was staggering. Gold revenues surged, contributing to a GDP climb from $18.8 billion in 2022 to an estimated $24.3 billion by the end of 2025. To illustrate this trajectory, this growth was unisolated. It reflected a broader economic transformation. Traoré implemented fiscal austerity measures, including a 30% cut in ministerial and parliamentary salaries, while increasing civil servant pay by 50%. These steps fostered accountability and redistributed wealth, reducing inequality in a nation where poverty affects over 40% of the population. Industrialization, from raw exports to value addition. 2025 saw Traoré double down on industrialization, turning Burkina Faso from a raw material exporter into a processing hub. The cotton sector, a cornerstone of the economy, benefited immensely. A second processing plant was inaugurated, alongside a national support center for artisanal cotton processing, tripling local textile manufacturing and making Burkina Faso the Sahel's top producer. Similarly, new factories for tomatoes, milk, fertilizers, and pharmaceuticals reduced import dependency by up to 40% in key areas. In May, Traoré laid the foundation for an apple processing plant, and a veterinary drug manufacturing unit, part of a broader push for agro-industrialization. He also distributed agro-pastoral equipment worth 104 billion FCFA to farmers, aiming for food self-sufficiency. These initiatives weren't just economic, they were cultural, promoting local attire in courts and banning colonial-era legal wigs to foster national pride. Energy independence emerged as another frontier. Plans for Burkina Faso's first nuclear power plant advanced, with scholarships sending students to Russia for training. Solar farms now supply 30% of national energy, reducing reliance on imported fuels. Agricultural boom. Feeding the nation and beyond agriculture, employing over 80% of Burkina Faso, was at the heart of Traoré's 2025 agenda. Record harvests marked the year. Tomato production exceeded 400,000 metric tons, millet surpassed 1.3 million tons, and rice achieved self-sufficiency at over 400,000 tons. This was no accident. Traoré distributed over 1,000 tractors and 500 solar-powered irrigation systems, eliminating food aid dependency in 80% of regions. The government's focus on value addition, through new processing plants for tomatoes and cotton, ensured that profits stayed local. Why let our gold and crops enrich others? Traoré rhetorically asked in a December speech. We will transform them here, for our people. These efforts not only boosted exports, but also created jobs, with fair pay and free farming equipment drawing youth back to rural areas. Infrastructure overhaul, building for the future. No transformation is complete without physical foundations, and 2025 was a banner year for Burkina Faso's infrastructure. The Ouagadougou Donson International Airport became fully operational, handling 1.2 million passengers annually, exceeding projections. Over 2,000 kilometers of new paved roads connected rural communities to markets, while the Trans-Sahel Highway, linking to Mali and Niger, reached 60% completion.